Alien King Nox stared at Earth on his viewscreen and instantly unshackled himself from his oppressive royal throne, desperate to live among the free humans, no matter the cost. Tyler Simpson shuffled to his kitchen in pajama pants. His tiny New Chicago apartment vibrated as holo displays activated, flashing urgent red text. Alien ship detected entering solar system. He froze, soy coffee mug hovering near his lips. News anchor Jack Harper appeared, gesturing to a hologram of a moon-sized ship. The alien vessel is fast approaching Neptune's orbit, heading directly towards Earth on an unknown trajectory. Its origins and intentions are a complete mystery at this time. Global panic is spreading as humanity speculates about a possible invasion. The United Earth government has escalated to maximum threat level and fully mobilized all military forces across the solar system to intercept. Tyler's hands shook as the news played, sloshing hot coffee onto his shirt. Could this really be happening? An actual alien ship coming straight for Earth? He collapsed onto his couch, not caring that he'd be late for his soul-crushing data entry job at Omnitech. How could he possibly focus on spreadsheets with this existential threat looming over all of humanity? Aboard the massive alien craft, Cardassian King Nox lounged on his gilded throne, ignoring the frantic chatter of his advisors. The blue-green beauty of Earth rotated serenely on his holo display. He marveled at the diverse biomes, the sprawling cities teeming with life. He yearned to walk among the humans, breathe their air, maybe even sample their exotic cuisines. Anything to escape the oppressive bureaucracy and burdens of running an alien empire. "My liege, you cannot be serious," his advisor Zath protested, red scales rippling with distress. "Abdicating the throne to go mingle with the humans? It's unthinkable. The kingdom will collapse into chaos without you, and the humans will certainly view our approach as an act of war. Untold lives could be lost on both sides." "My decision is made," King Nox declared, rising to his imposing 7-foot height. "I hereby relinquish the throne, effective immediately. This vestigial monarchy has ruled me for too long. I will live out my remaining days on Earth as an equal to the humans, learning their ways. Stay the course for Earth, that is my final command as your king." He strode out, leaving a chorus of dismayed groans in his wake. He almost pitied his advisors and the challenges they now faced in his absence. But he would not be deterred from his new path. Earth called to him like a siren song. He knew not whether the humans would welcome him with open arms or with weapons blasting, but he would find out soon enough. His reptilian heart quickened with something like excitement, or perhaps dread. King Nox genuinely didn't know which, but either way he knew he was hurtling towards his destiny, towards Earth, and nothing in this galaxy or beyond could stop him now. President Marcus Novak sat stiffly in the emergency briefing room, his brow furrowed as he listened to the tense chatter of his top military advisors. General Samuel Briggs, a grizzled veteran with a square jaw, gestured emphatically at the holographic display of the alien vessel. "Mr. President, we have to consider the possibility that this is a hostile incursion," Briggs said gruffly. "We should mobilize our forces and prepare for a potential confrontation." Admiral Lisa Chen, a petite woman with sharp eyes, shook her head. "We can't jump to conclusions, General. This could be a historic opportunity for peaceful contact with an alien civilization. We should attempt communication before resorting to military action." Novak held up a hand, silencing the debate. "I agree with Admiral Chen. We'll try to establish contact first. Dr. Hoffman, I want your team to prepare a message to send to the Cardassian vessel. Keep it simple, friendly, and clear. We come in peace, and we hope they do too." Dr. Eliza Hoffman, the lead diplomat, nodded crisply. "Yes, Mr. President, we'll get right on it." As the meeting adjourned, Novak couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled in his gut. He hoped he was making the right call. Tyler paced anxiously in his cramped apartment, his eyes glued to the news feeds. Outside, the streets of New Chicago were in chaos. Panicked citizens rushed to flee the city, clogging the highways with snarled traffic. Sirens wailed in the distance, and the occasional scream pierced the air. Tyler's hands shook as he rummaged through his cabinets, pulling out cans of food and bottles of water. He had no idea how long this crisis would last, but he wanted to be prepared. With no family or close friends to turn to, he felt utterly alone in the face of this terrifying unknown. On the news, anchor Jack Harper looked grim as he updated the situation. The UEG has confirmed that they are attempting to communicate with the alien vessel. No response has been received yet. Citizens are advised to remain calm and stay in their homes until further notice. Tyler sank onto his couch, his heart pounding. All he could do was wait and watch, hoping against hope that this wasn't the end of the world as he knew it. Kirsten Canditu F. Tukstintizer. Please, my liege, reconsider this foolhardy plan, Zath pleaded. The humans are unpredictable and violent. You could be walking into a trap. Nock shook his head, his eyes gleaming with determination. I have made my choice, Zath. I will not be swayed. This is a chance for me to learn and grow, to experience a new way of life. Suddenly alarms blared throughout the ship, red lights flashing. Nox whirled to face the view screen, his heart dropping as he saw the swarm of UEG recon drones approaching. Hold your fire, he commanded, his voice booming through the comm system. Do not engage the humans. I will attempt to communicate with them. Nox stepped forward, activating the ship's external speakers. Greetings, people of Earth. I am King Nox of the Cardassian Empire. I come in peace, seeking to learn and live among you. Please, let us open a dialogue. There was no response from the drones. They continued to circle the ship, their scanners probing and analyzing. Nox felt a chill run down his spine as he watched them, a sense of foreboding growing in his chest. Was his dream of a peaceful life on Earth already crumbling before it had even begun? As the recon drones continued their ominous circling, Dr. Eliza Hoffman worked feverishly to establish contact with the alien vessel. She and her team tried every frequency, every language, every format they could think of. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a response came through. Greetings, people of Earth, a deep resonant voice echoed through the comm system. I am King Nox of the Cardassian Empire. I have received your message and appreciate your desire for peaceful communication. I, too, come in peace, seeking to learn and live among you. I invite a delegation of your representatives to come aboard my vessel so that we may discuss this matter in person. Dr. Hoffman relayed the message to President Novak, who convened another emergency meeting with his advisors. The room buzzed with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Some saw this as a historic opportunity for diplomacy, while others feared it could be a trap. We have to take this chance, Admiral Chen argued. If we respond with aggression, we could be starting an interstellar war. General Briggs remained skeptical. We can't just waltz onto an alien ship without knowing their true intentions. It's too risky. In the end, President Novak made the call. We'll send a small team led by Dr. Hoffman, but I want them armed and ready for anything. We have to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Tyler sat glued to his holo display, his heart pounding as he watched the live newsfeed. The UEG shuttle, a sleek silver craft bristling with advanced tech, approached the massive Cardassian vessel. The alien ship dwarfed the human craft, its hull gleaming with strange, iridescent metals. This is an historic moment, Jack Harper narrated, his voice tight with excitement. For the first time in human history, representatives of Earth are about to meet face to face with an alien species. The whole world is watching with bated breath. Tyler leaned forward, his eyes wide. He couldn't believe this was really happening. A part of him wanted to be on that shuttle, to see the aliens for himself, but another part was grateful for the safety of his apartment, far from the front lines of this cosmic encounter. King Nox stood tall in the grand reception hall, his exosuit humming softly. Zath and a handful of other high-ranking Cardassians flanked him, their postures stiff and formal. The human delegation entered, led by a woman in a crisp blue uniform. "Welcome aboard the Orion's crest," Nox said, inclining his head. "I am King Nox. It is an honor to meet you in person." Dr. Hoffman stepped forward, her expression a mix of awe and caution. The honor is ours, King Knox. I am Dr. Eliza Hoffman, lead diplomat for the United Earth Government. We come in the spirit of peace and cooperation. The meeting began cordially, with both sides expressing their hopes for a new era of interspecies understanding. But as the discussion wore on, General Briggs grew increasingly agitated. He started peppering Knox with questions about the Cardassians' military capabilities, their technology, their intentions. "With all due respect, King Knox," Briggs said, his tone anything but respectful, "you'll have to forgive our caution. We've never encountered a species with your level of advancement. We need assurances that you pose no threat to Earth." Knox drew himself up, his scales rippling. "I assure you, General, we come in peace. We have no hostile intentions towards your world. My only wish is to learn and live among you." Suddenly an alarm blared through the ship. Red lights flashed, and a Cardassian officer burst into the room, his face grim. "My liege," he said, bowing hastily, "we are under attack. A group of unknown vessels has opened fire on us. Our shields are holding, but—" He trailed off as Knox held up a hand. The human delegation looked stunned, confused. Dr. Hoffman turned to General Briggs, her eyes wide with realization. Briggs shifted uncomfortably. "I had no knowledge of this. It must be a rogue faction acting without authorization." Knox stared at the viewscreen, watching as the attacking ships continued their barrage. His heart sank as he realized the fragility of his dream. Even here, on the cusp of a new beginning, old hostilities and misunderstandings threatened to tear it all apart. He turned to Zath, his expression grim. "Hail the attacking ships. Tell them to stand down immediately, and prepare a shuttle for me. I will not respond to aggression with more aggression. I will go to them myself and attempt to end this madness." But Knox was already striding towards the door, his exosuit clanking with each step. He paused, looking back at the stunned human delegation. "I apologize for this misunderstanding. I will do everything in my power to resolve it peacefully. Please remain here. I will return shortly." With that he was gone, leaving a room full of shocked faces in his wake. Dr. Hoffman turned to General Briggs, her expression hardening. "If this is the work of your people, General, there will be hell to pay. You may have just started an interstellar incident." Briggs said nothing, his jaw clenched tight. On the viewscreen, the attacking ships continued their relentless assault, and somewhere among them, a lone shuttle carrying a desperate alien king sped towards an uncertain fate. Knox's voice echoed through the comm system, his words laced with a steely resolve. "Maintain defensive shields, but do not return fire. I repeat, do not engage the attacking vessels." The bridge crew exchanged tense glances, their scales rippling with unease. Zath stepped forward, his eyes wide with concern. "My liege, we cannot simply stand by while they assault us. We must defend ourselves." Knox held up a clawed hand, silencing his advisor. "No, Zath. Responding with violence will only escalate the situation. We must find another way." He turned to the human delegation, his expression somber. "Please come with me. I will ensure your safety." As they entered a secure room deep within the vessel, Knox turned to face the humans, his voice heavy with regret. "I apologize for this unfortunate turn of events. This is not how I envisioned our first contact." Dr. Hoffman stepped forward, her hand reaching for her comm device. "I need to inform President Novak of the situation. We must request an immediate cessation of hostilities." She spoke quickly, relaying the events to the UEG leader. President Novak's voice crackled through the comm, shock and anger evident in his tone. "Admiral Carlson acted without authorization. I am ordering the rogue faction to stand down immediately." But as the minutes ticked by, it became clear that the attacking ships had no intention of complying. The assault continued, the Cardassian vessel shuddering under the relentless barrage. Knox paced the room, his exosuit whirring softly. He knew he had to act to protect his ship and crew, but how could he do so without causing further harm? An idea formed in his mind, a desperate gambit. He turned to his tactical officer, his voice low and urgent. "Prepare a targeted electromagnetic pulse. We will disable their weapons and propulsion systems, but we will not cause any loss of life." The officer nodded, his claws flying over the control panel. Moments later, a shimmering wave of energy erupted from the Cardassian ship, engulfing the attacking vessels. The effect was immediate. The UEG ships hung dead in space, their systems fried by the powerful EMP. The attack had been neutralized, but at what cost? On Earth, Tyler sat transfixed before his holodisplay, watching the drama unfold. The news feeds were a cacophony of conflicting reports and opinions, some praising Nox's restraint, others demanding retribution against the alien threat. In the streets below, chaos reigned. Protesters clashed with riot police, their shouts and chants rising into the night sky. The world was teetering on the brink of something momentous, something terrifying. In the secure room on the Cardassian ship, Dr. Hoffman and her team worked frantically to open a line of communication with Admiral Carlson. The rogue leader's face appeared on the screen, his expression defiant and unapologetic. "You have no right to interfere in UEG matters," he sneered. "The Cardassians are a threat to our very existence. We must eliminate them before they can strike against us." Dr. Hoffman tried to reason with him, to appeal to his sense of duty and honor. But Carlson remained unmoved, his hatred for the aliens overriding all other considerations. As the tense negotiations dragged on, Nox came to a grim realization. There was only one way to prevent further bloodshed, to salvage any hope of peace between his people and the humans. The room erupted in protests, Zath and the other Cardassians pleading with their king to reconsider. But Nox was resolute, his mind made up. "It is the only way," he said softly. "If I do not act, this conflict will escalate beyond our control. I cannot allow that to happen." As he prepared to depart for Earth, Tyler felt a growing sense of unease. Something about Admiral Carlson's actions didn't add up. Why would a high-ranking UEG officer go rogue, risking everything to attack the Cardassians? He began to dig deeper, scouring the dark corners of the interstellar net for any scrap of information. What he found sent a chill down his spine. Admiral Carlson was not acting alone. He was part of a shadowy faction within the UEG, a group with ties to powerful corporations and hidden agendas. They saw the Cardassians not as potential allies, but as a resource to be exploited, a threat to be eliminated. As Tyler pieced together the puzzle, he realized the true scope of the danger. If Nox surrendered himself to the UEG, he would be walking into a trap. The fragile peace between their species would be shattered, and the galaxy would be plunged into chaos. He had to warn them, to find a way to stop this insanity before it was too late. But as he reached for his comm device, he heard a sound that made his blood run cold. The door to his apartment burst open, and a group of armed men stormed inside. They wore the unmarked combat gear of UEG Special Forces, their faces hidden behind tinted visors. "Tyler Simpson, you are under arrest for treason against the United Earth government," one of them barked, his weapon trained on Tyler's chest. "Come quietly, or we will use force." As the men dragged him away, Tyler caught a glimpse of his holodisplay. The news feeds were still playing, showing images of Nox preparing to board a shuttle bound for Earth. The alien king was walking into a trap, and Tyler was the only one who knew the truth. But now, it seemed, he was just another pawn in a game far larger and more dangerous than he ever could have imagined. In a flash of blinding light, Nox materialized in the heart of the UEG facility in Geneva, his exosuit humming with power. Dr. Hoffman and her team blinked away the spots in their vision, disoriented by the sudden teleportation. A dozen heavily armed soldiers surrounded them, weapons trained on Nox's towering form. Their leader, a grim-faced man with the insignia of a UEG colonel, stepped forward. "King Nox, I am Colonel Marcus Jensen," he said, his voice cold and clipped. "You will come with us immediately." Nox inclined his head, his scales rippling with unease. "I come in peace, Colonel. I mean no harm." Jensen's jaw tightened. He gestured with his rifle and the soldiers closed in, escorting Knox and the others through the sterile corridors of the facility. They arrived at a small bare room with reinforced walls and a single heavy door. Jensen motioned for Knox to enter. "You will remain here until your hearing," he said, his tone brooking no argument, "for your own safety." Farati Sindiga. Tyler's hands flew over his keyboard, his eyes glued to the screen. He'd always been good with computers, a skill that had served him well in his data entry job, but he'd never imagined he'd be using those skills to hack into classified UEG files. He'd started with a hunch, a niggling suspicion that something wasn't right about Admiral Carlson and his rogue faction, and as he dug deeper, that suspicion had grown into a certainty. Carlson wasn't just a hawkish military man with an itchy trigger finger. He was in bed with Nexus Industries, a shadowy weapons manufacturer with a reputation for pushing the boundaries of legality and ethics. Tyler's heart raced as he uncovered file after file, each one painting a darker picture than the last. Nexus had been developing alien hybrid technology, weapons that blurred the line between human and extraterrestrial, and Carlson had been their inside man, pushing for policies and conflicts that would create a market for their products. The attack on the Cardassian vessel hadn't been a misguided attempt to protect Earth. It had been a calculated move, designed to provoke a war that would justify the use and sale of Nexus's new weapons. Tyler's hands shook as the reality of the situation sank in. He was sitting on a powder keg of information that could expose the conspiracy and prevent a catastrophic war. But as he reached for his comm device, intending to contact Dr. Hoffman, an alarm blared from his computer. He'd tripped a security protocol, and his location had been compromised. He had mere minutes before UEG agents would be at his door. He had to run, had to find a way to get this information to the right people. He grabbed his backpack, stuffing it with a few essential items. His heart pounded as he heard the thump of boots in the hallway outside. The door burst open, and a woman strode in, flanked by a team of heavily armed agents. She was tall and lean, with cold blue eyes and a shock of white blonde hair. "Tyler Simpson," she said, her voice like ice, "you are under arrest for treason against the United Earth government." Tyler didn't hesitate. He lunged for the window, smashing through the glass and tumbling onto the fire escape. Bullets whizzed past his head as he scrambled down the metal stairs, his pursuers close behind. He hit the ground running, disappearing into the maze of New Chicago's streets. He had to find a way to stay one step ahead, to survive long enough to expose the truth. Knox stood before the tribunal, his heart heavy with the weight of his decision. He had come to Earth seeking peace, seeking understanding. But now, faced with the hostile glares of the UEG officials, he wondered if that had been a foolish dream. Dr. Hoffman and her team sat to the side, their faces etched with concern. They had tried to intervene, to argue for a more diplomatic approach, but their voices had been drowned out by the clamor for retribution. Admiral Carlson sat at the head of the tribunal, his eyes glinting with a cold, predatory light. He fired question after question at Knox, his tone accusatory and belligerent. "What are the true capabilities of your technology?" he demanded. "What is the size and strength of your military? What are your real intentions towards Earth?" Knox answered each question calmly and truthfully, but he could see that his words fell on deaf ears. The tribunal had already made up their minds, swayed by Carlson's influence and their own fear and prejudice. As the hearing dragged on, a sudden commotion erupted outside the room. Shouts and gunfire echoed through the halls, growing louder and closer with each passing second. The doors burst open, and a group of heavily armed mercenaries stormed in, their weapons trained on Knox. They wore the insignia of Nexus Industries, the same company Tyler had uncovered in his investigation. "Stand down," Colonel Jensen shouted, drawing his own weapon. "This is a UEG facility. You have no jurisdiction here." But the mercenaries ignored him, advancing on Knox with single-minded determination. Knox's exosuit hummed to life, his scales rippling with energy. He moved with blinding speed, his suit enhancing his already formidable strength and agility. He struck the first mercenary with a powerful blow, sending him flying across the room. The others opened fire, but their bullets ricocheted off Nox's advanced armor. He waded into their midst, a whirlwind of claws and scales, fighting side by side with the UEG security forces. Amid the chaos, Dr. Hoffman slipped away, her heart racing. She had to find Tyler, had to get his information to the right people. She pulled out her comm device, inputting the encrypted frequency Tyler had given her. "Tyler, it's Dr. Hoffman. Where are you? We don't have much time." Tyler's voice crackled through the static, tense and breathless. "I'm on the run. Carlson's people are after me. I have proof of his connection to Nexus Industries. They've been planning this war all along." She ended the call, her mind racing. The fate of two worlds hung in the balance, and time was running out. Tyler's heart pounded as he crept through the shadowy corridors of the UEG data center, his eyes darting from side to side. Dr. Hoffman's words echoed in his mind, urging him to find the evidence that could expose Admiral Carlson's sinister plot. He paused at a terminal, his fingers flying over the keys as he hacked into the system. Files flashed across the screen, each one more disturbing than the last, images of twisted alien experiments, gruesome dissections, and horrific weapons prototypes seared into his brain. He dug deeper, uncovering encrypted communications between Carlson and Nexus Industries. They spoke of a grand plan, a way to seize power and dominate both Earth and the stars, and at the center of it all was King Nox, the ultimate prize in their sick game. Tyler's hand shook as he inserted a data drive, downloading the incriminating files. He had to get this information to President Novak, to Dr. Hoffman, to anyone who could help stop this madness. Suddenly the door burst open, and Natasha Volkov strode in, flanked by her heavily armed team. Her cold blue eyes locked onto Tyler, a predatory smile curling her lips. "Well, well, Mr. Simpson," she purred, her gun aimed at his chest. "You've certainly been a busy little bee, but I'm afraid your snooping ends here." Tyler's hand hovered over the terminal, his finger poised on the upload button. "I don't think so, Volkov. One click and this all goes public. The whole world will know what you and Carlson have been up to." Volkov laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "You really think that matters to me? I have my orders, Simpson, and those are to eliminate you and anyone else who gets in our way. Collateral damage is just part of the game." She cocked her gun, her finger tightening on the trigger. Tyler braced himself, his heart racing. This was it. This was how he died, alone in a dark room, fighting for a truth that might never see the light of day. But before Volkov could fire, a blinding flash of light filled the room. Tyler shielded his eyes, squinting through the glare. A tall, reptilian figure stood in the center of the room, his exosuit humming with power. The Cardassian king turned to face Volkov and her team, his scales rippling with anger. "Stand down, humans. Your treachery ends here." Volkov snarled, her gun swinging towards Nox. But the alien was faster, his suit-enhanced reflexes allowing him to dodge the shots with ease. He closed the distance between them in a heartbeat, his clawed hand wrapping around Volkov's throat. "I said stand down," Nox growled, his voice low and menacing. Volkov's team hesitated, their weapons wavering. They had never faced an opponent like this before, a being of such raw power and determination. Tyler seized the moment, slamming his hand down on the upload button. The terminal beeped, the files transmitting to every news outlet and government agency on Earth. Nox released Volkov, letting her crumple to the floor. He turned to Tyler, his eyes glinting with a newfound respect. "You have done well, Tyler Simpson," he rumbled, "but our work is not yet finished. We must find a way to stop Carlson and his allies, before they plunge our worlds into war." Tyler nodded, his jaw set. He knew the road ahead would be long and dangerous, filled with untold perils. But with King Nox at his side, he felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to bridge the gap between their species, to forge a future of peace and understanding. But first, they had to survive the night. Alarms blared through the data center. the UEG security forces mobilizing to hunt them down. Tyler and Knox exchanged a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. Together they raced out into the neon-lit streets of New Chicago, the fate of two worlds hanging in the balance. The city pulsed with life, oblivious to the cosmic drama unfolding in its midst. Neon signs flickered and glowed, casting eerie shadows across the rain-slicked pavement. Tyler led Knox through a maze of alleyways and side streets, his heart pounding with every step. "Where are we going?" Knox asked, his voice low and urgent. They ducked into an abandoned warehouse, the rusted metal door screeching on its hinges. Inside, the cavernous space was filled with shadows and the musty smell of decay. Tyler collapsed against a wall, his chest heaving. Knox stood guard, his exosuit sensors probing the darkness for any hint of danger. "We cannot stay here long," he rumbled. "Carlson's forces will be searching for us, and with the might of the UEG military at his disposal, there will be nowhere on this planet we can hide." Tyler nodded, his mind racing. He knew Knox was right. They needed allies, resources, a way to fight back against the vast conspiracy that threatened to engulf them all. "Dr. Hoffman," he said suddenly, a spark of hope igniting in his chest. "She's still out there, still fighting. If we can get to her, maybe she can help us." Knox considered this, his reptilian eyes narrowing. "And how do you propose we find her? The UEG will be monitoring all communications, all transport networks." Tyler managed a weary grin. "Leave that to me. I may not be a soldier or a diplomat, but I know my way around a computer system. Give me a few minutes and I can hack us a path to Dr. Hoffman." Knox inclined his head, a glimmer of respect in his gaze. "Very well, Tyler Simpson, let us see what you can do." As Tyler set to work, his fingers flying over the stolen datapad, he couldn't help but marvel at the strange twists of fate that had brought him here. Just days ago, he had been a nobody, a cog in the machine of the UEG's bureaucracy. Now he was a fugitive, a rebel, fighting alongside an alien king to save two worlds from annihilation. It was almost too much to process, too vast to comprehend. But Tyler pushed those thoughts aside, focusing on the task at hand. He had to find Dr. Hoffman, had to get the evidence to her. Everything else could wait. "Tyler, is that you? Thank God you're alive. I heard about the attack on the data center. I feared the worst." "I'm all right," Tyler assured her. "Thanks to King Knox. He saved my life, Dr. Hoffman, but we're not out of the woods yet. We need your help." Dr. Hoffman nodded, her eyes hardening with determination. "Of course, whatever you need, but you must hurry. Carlson's men are tearing the city apart looking for you. It's only a matter of time before they track this signal." Tyler glanced at Knox, saw the same urgency reflected in the alien king's eyes. They had to move, had to stay one step ahead of their pursuers. But for the first time since this nightmare began, Tyler felt a flicker of hope. They had the truth on their side now. They had each other. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough to see them through the dark days ahead. The pulsing neon glow of the city streets blurred past as Knox and Tyler sprinted through the night. Tyler's heart raced, adrenaline surging through his veins. Knox's advanced exosuit made short work of any obstacles, his alien strength and agility far beyond human capabilities. "This way," Tyler panted, ducking into a narrow alley. He knew these streets like the back of his hand, having spent countless hours exploring their secrets during his mundane life as a data entry clerk. They emerged into a desolate industrial area, the hulking silhouettes of abandoned warehouses looming in the darkness. Tyler led Knox to a rusted metal door, quickly picking the lock with trembling fingers. Inside, the cavernous space was empty, save for a few scattered crates and a thick layer of dust. Knox scanned the area with his suit's sensors, confirming that they were alone. "We should be safe here for now," Tyler said, collapsing against a wall. "But we can't stay long. They'll be searching the entire city for us." Knox nodded, his reptilian eyes glinting in the dim light. "I have a plan, but it will be risky. My ship has the capability to broadcast the evidence we've gathered to every screen on the planet, but to do so, we'll need access to a UEG communications array." Tyler's eyes widened. The nearest array is in a heavily fortified military base. It's suicide. Tyler hesitated, then pulled out his comm device. He took a deep breath and made the call. Dr. Hoffman's face appeared on the screen, her expression a mix of relief and concern. Tyler, thank God you're all right. I heard about the attack on the data center. Where are you? Safe for the moment, Tyler replied, glancing at Knox. But we need your help. We have a plan to expose the truth, but we can't do it alone. Dr. Hoffman listened intently as Tyler explained their situation. When he finished, she was silent for a long moment. It's a dangerous plan, she said finally, but it may be our only chance. I have a few trusted officers who might be willing to help. Meet me at these coordinates in 2 hours. Come armed and ready. The call ended, and Tyler let out a shaky breath. He turned to Knox, who was already checking his suit's weapon systems. Are you sure about this? Tyler asked, fear and doubt creeping into his voice. Knox placed a clawed hand on Tyler's shoulder, his grip firm but reassuring. I have never been more certain of anything in my life. We will see this through, Tyler, for both our worlds. 2 hours later, they stood in the shadows of a dilapidated parking garage, watching as a nondescript UEG transport van pulled up. Dr. Hoffman emerged, flanked by a small group of grim-faced officers. Here's the plan, she said, her voice low and urgent. We've arranged for a routine prisoner transfer to the base. Knox, you'll be posing as the prisoner. Tyler, you're part of the escort team. Once inside, we'll create a distraction to get you to the communications array. Tyler and Knox exchanged a glance, then nodded. They knew the risks, but they were ready to face them. As they climbed into the van, disguised in stolen UEG uniforms, Tyler felt a sense of calm wash over him. No matter what happened next, he knew he was fighting for something bigger than himself, for the truth, for justice, for the future of 2 worlds. The van rolled out into the night, carrying them towards their destiny. The UEG military base loomed before them, a sprawling complex of concrete and steel, bristling with weapons and sensors. The van passed through the heavily guarded gates without incident, Knox playing his role as the subdued prisoner to perfection. Once inside, Dr. Hoffman and her team split off, ready to create the promised distraction. Tyler and Knox, still in their disguises, made their way towards the communications array. But as they approached the heavily reinforced building, a sudden hail of gunfire erupted around them. Tyler dove for cover, his heart in his throat. From behind a barricade of sandbags, Admiral Carlson emerged, flanked by a small army of Nexus Industries mercenaries. His face was twisted with rage and madness. "Did you really think you could stop me?" he snarled, his gun leveled at Knox. "I've come too far, sacrificed too much, to let a traitorous worm like you ruin everything." Knox stood tall, his exosuit humming with power. "It's over, Carlson. Surrender now and you may yet face justice with some shred of honor." Carlson laughed, a harsh and ugly sound. "Honor? I have no use for honor, only power. And with the technology your kind possesses, I will have power beyond measure." He signaled to his mercenaries, and they opened fire. Tyler and Knox fought back, their weapons blazing, but they were hopelessly outnumbered. Just as all seemed lost, a squadron of Cardassian fighters screamed overhead, lasers flashing. Knox had managed to send a distress signal to his ship, and his people had answered the call. In the chaos of the battle, Tyler saw his chance. He sprinted for the communications array, dodging bullets and energy blasts. He burst through the doors, racing for the control panel. But as he began to upload the evidence, a figure stepped from the shadows. It was Natasha Volkov, her face a mask of cold determination. "Step away from the console," she ordered, her gun trained on Tyler's chest. Tyler shook his head, his fingers never leaving the keypad. "I can't do that. The truth must be known." Volkov snarled and lunged at him. They grappled, trading blows, smashing into consoles and equipment. Tyler fought with a strength born of desperation, knowing that everything depended on him. With a final savage punch, he sent Volkov crumpling to the floor unconscious. Breathing hard, he turned back to the console. The upload was complete. With a trembling hand, Tyler pressed the button to transmit. Fati Tulmis, Vichelsines. Across the planet, screens flickered and changed. On every news feed, every social media platform, every public display, the evidence of Admiral Carlson's conspiracy played out in damning detail. The world watched in stunned silence as the truth was laid bare. The secret experiments, the alien prisoners, the collusion with Nexus Industries, the lies and betrayals that had nearly led to a devastating war. In the streets people gathered, their faces a mix of shock, anger, and disbelief. They demanded answers, demanded justice. The UEG, caught in the glare of public outrage, had no choice but to act. Admiral Carlson, seeing his empire crumbling around him, tried to flee in a Nexus Industries ship, but Nox, having defeated the last of the mercenaries with the help of his Cardassian fighters, intercepted him. The once proud admiral, now a broken and defeated man, had no choice but to surrender. In the aftermath of the battle, Tyler and Nox stood amidst the smoking ruins of the military base. Dr. Hoffman and her team, battered but alive, joined them. There was no cheering, no celebration, only a profound sense of relief and exhaustion. They had won, but the cost had been high. As UEG reinforcements flooded the area, securing the scene and rounding up the remaining conspirators, Tyler and Nox were approached by a group of high-ranking officials. "On behalf of the United Earth government," one of them said, his voice solemn, "we extend our deepest gratitude for your actions. You have exposed a great evil and prevented a terrible war. You are heroes, both of you." Tyler and Nox exchanged a glance, a wordless understanding passing between them. They had started as enemies, then become reluctant allies, and finally, friends. "There is much work still to be done," Nox said, his voice weary but determined. "But today we have taken the first step towards a brighter future, a future of peace and understanding between our worlds." Tyler nodded, a small smile playing across his face. He knew the road ahead would be long and difficult, but for the first time in his life, he felt a sense of purpose, a calling greater than himself. Together they turned to face the dawn, ready to meet whatever challenges lay ahead. Earth and Cardassia, human and alien, united in the cause of hope. In the weeks that followed, Nox and Tyler threw themselves into their new roles as ambassadors and liaisons between their two worlds. They attended countless meetings, negotiated complex trade agreements, and worked tirelessly to foster understanding and cooperation between humans and Cardassians. But even as they poured their energy into their diplomatic duties, they couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. Reports of mysterious disappearances and unexplained phenomena began to trickle in from across the globe, and Nox and Tyler found themselves drawn into the investigation. As they delved deeper, they uncovered a chilling truth. Admiral Carlson and Nexus Industries had been mere pawns in a much larger and more sinister game. A shadowy organization, known only as the Convergence, had been pulling the strings from behind the scenes, manipulating events to further their own twisted agenda. Nox and Tyler learned that the Convergence's goal was not simply to acquire alien technology, but to merge with it, creating a new hybrid species that would dominate both Earth and the galaxy beyond. They discovered that the Convergence had infiltrated the highest levels of both the UEG and the Cardassian government, conducting secret experiments on humans and aliens in hidden laboratories scattered across the planet. The attack on Nox's ship, the subsequent conflict, the conspiracy they thought they had exposed, it had all been orchestrated by the Convergence, a mere distraction to keep the public's attention away from their true intentions. As Nox and Tyler continued their investigation, they began to experience strange and terrifying phenomena themselves. Tyler was plagued by vivid nightmares, visions of alien landscapes and monstrous creatures that seemed all too real. Nox found himself inexplicably drawn to certain locations and artifacts, as if guided by an unseen force. They soon made a horrifying discovery. They had both been unknowingly exposed to a rare and powerful alien substance known as xenomatter. It had begun to alter their minds and bodies in unpredictable ways, granting them strange new abilities, but also threatening to consume them from within. Desperate for answers and a way to stop the convergence, Knox and Tyler turned to Dr. Hoffman and a team of trusted scientists and allies. Together, they raced to uncover the secrets of xenomatter and its effects on organic life, hoping to find a way to reverse the changes it had wrought on them, and countless others. But as they dug deeper, they uncovered a revelation that chilled them to their core. The convergence's ultimate goal was to use xenomatter to merge with a long-dormant alien intelligence that lay buried deep beneath the Earth's surface, an entity known only as the Oversoul. If the convergence succeeded in awakening the Oversoul and merging with it, they would gain unimaginable power and the ability to reshape the very fabric of reality itself. The threat they faced was not just to Earth and the Cardassian people, but to the entire universe as they knew it. Knox and Tyler knew they had to find a way to stop the convergence, to prevent the awakening of the Oversoul, even as they grappled with the terrifying changes occurring within their own bodies and minds. As they set out on a desperate mission to unravel the secrets of xenomatter and the Oversoul, the fate of everything they held dear hung in the balance. The choices they made in the coming days would shape the future of the galaxy for generations to come. As their investigation into the convergence's sinister activities led them deeper down the rabbit hole, Knox and Tyler found themselves standing at the edge of a dense, foreboding jungle, the Amazon rainforest. Intelligence reports and encrypted files had pointed them to this remote location, suggesting that a long-abandoned Nexus Industries facility hidden deep within the rainforest may hold the key to unraveling the convergence's plans. Accompanied by a hand-picked team of UEG Special Forces and Cardassian warriors, Knox and Tyler hacked their way through the thick undergrowth, the humid air heavy with the scent of decay and the constant drone of insects. The xenomatter coursing through their veins tingled, as if resonating with an unseen presence that grew stronger with every step they took towards their destination. After hours of grueling trekking, they finally stumbled upon the facility. Its once sleek buildings now overrun with vines and creepers, the metal and concrete crumbling under the relentless onslaught of nature. The team quickly set up a perimeter and began to search for an entry point. "There," Tyler pointed, his voice hushed. "That ventilation shaft should lead us inside." Knox nodded, his reptilian eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of danger. "Stay alert. We don't know what kind of defenses the convergence might have left behind." They pried open the rusted grate and slipped into the shaft one by one, the darkness swallowing them as they descended into the bowels of the facility. The air grew colder and staler as they pushed deeper, the only sound the scraping of their gear against the metal walls. Finally, they emerged into a vast underground chamber, the beam of their flashlights revealing a scene straight out of a nightmare. Strange, alien machinery pulsed and hummed, bathing the room in an eerie, sickly glow. Tanks filled with viscous, bubbling liquid lined the walls, and within them floated the twisted, mutated remains of what had once been humans and Cardassians. "My God," one of the UEG soldiers whispered, his face pale. "What were they doing here?" Knox stepped forward, his expression grim, experimenting, trying to unlock the secrets of the xenomatter, to harness its power for their own ends. As they ventured deeper into the complex, the xenomatter's influence grew stronger, warping their perceptions and playing tricks on their minds. The walls seemed to shift and writhe, the floor tilting beneath their feet. Ghostly whispers echoed in their ears, promising power, knowledge, and dark temptations. Suddenly a piercing shriek tore through the air, and a horde of grotesque, misshapen creatures burst from the shadows, their bodies a nightmarish fusion of flesh and alien technology. The team opened fire, the muzzle flashes strobing in the darkness as they fought off the abominations. Knox and Tyler pressed forward, their enhanced strength and reflexes allowing them to cut a path through the horde. They could feel the xenomatter surging within them, responding to the presence of the Oversoul that lurked somewhere in the depths of the facility. At last they reached the heart of the complex, a cavernous chamber dominated by a massive, pulsating structure that seemed to be alive. Tendrils of energy arced and crackled across its surface, and the air thrummed with an almost subsonic hum. "The Oversoul," Nox breathed, his eyes wide. "They've been feeding it, nurturing it with the xenomatter." As they approached the structure, a figure emerged from the shadows, a familiar face twisted into a mask of madness and dark enlightenment. "Dr. Hoffman," Tyler gasped, his voice tinged with horror and betrayal. She spread her arms, the xenomatter swirling around her in a dizzying vortex. "Join us. Embrace the power of the Oversoul, and together we can unlock the secrets of the universe, reshape reality itself. Or—" Her smile turned cruel, predatory. "Resist and be consumed by the very power you seek to control." Nox and Tyler exchanged a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. They knew what they had to do, even if it meant sacrificing everything they held dear. As one, they charged forward, their bodies wreathed in the crackling energy of the xenomatter. Dr. Hoffman met them head-on, her own powers fueled by the Oversoul's dark presence. The battle was joined, a furious maelstrom of physical and psychic energy that threatened to tear the very fabric of reality asunder. Nox and Tyler fought with every ounce of strength and will they possessed, the xenomatter within them, singing a siren song of temptation and power. It would be so easy to give in, to let the darkness consume them and reshape them into something greater, something beyond human or Cardassian. But they resisted, clinging to their humanity, to the bonds of friendship and loyalty that had brought them this far. They pushed back against the Oversoul's influence, against the seductive whispers of the xenomatter, and focused their power on one goal, severing the link between Dr. Hoffman and the Convergence. The facility shook and crumbled around them, the Oversoul's power growing more unstable with each passing moment. Nox and Tyler, their bodies battered and their minds strained to the breaking point, poured everything they had into one final desperate gamble. In a blinding flash of energy they succeeded, the link between Dr. Hoffman and the Oversoul shattering like glass. The mad scientist collapsed, her mind and body broken by the sudden loss of the xenomatter's power. The Oversoul recoiled, its presence retreating back into the depths of the facility as it returned to its dormant state. Nox and Tyler staggered from the ruins of the complex, their bodies battered and their minds reeling from the horrors they had witnessed. They knew that their battle against the Convergence and the Oversoul was far from over, that there would be more challenges and dangers to come. But for now they had brought the galaxy a precious reprieve, a chance to catch its breath and prepare for the struggles ahead. As they limped back towards civilization, towards the uncertain future that awaited them, they could only wonder what new horrors and challenges lay in store, and whether they would be strong enough to face them when the time came. In the sterile confines of a UEG research facility, Nox and Tyler lay strapped to cold metal tables, their bodies bristling with sensors and wires. Teams of scientists, both human and Cardassian, hovered over them, murmuring in hushed tones as they analyzed the streams of data flowing from the monitors. Nox gritted his teeth as another wave of pain washed over him, his muscles spasming under the strain. The xenomatter within him pulsed and shifted, a living entity with a will of its own. He could feel it probing at the edges of his consciousness, whispering secrets in a language he couldn't quite understand. Tyler, too, was struggling, his eyes squeezed shut as he fought to maintain his grip on reality. The visions that had once been fleeting glimpses were now a constant presence, a kaleidoscope of alien landscapes and incomprehensible geometries that threatened to overwhelm his mind. In the days that followed, Nox and Tyler pored over the data with Dr. Singh and her team, piecing together the fragments of a puzzle that stretched back eons. They learned of the progenitors, an ancient race that had achieved a form of immortality through the use of xenomatter, seeding the galaxy with the substance in the hopes of one day awakening and assimilating all life into their collective consciousness. "The Oversoul," Nox said, his voice hollow. "It's not just a single entity, but a network of minds all linked together by the xenomatter, and the Convergence, they were just pawns, manipulated into serving the progenitor's agenda without even realizing it. Tyler shuddered, the implications sinking in. And now the xenomatter is changing us too. We're becoming part of the Oversoul, losing ourselves piece by piece. They knew they were running out of time. The progenitors were stirring, their ancient consciousness reaching out across the stars, seeking to reclaim what they had lost. If they succeeded, every sentient being in the galaxy would be subsumed, their individuality erased in the face of a vast inhuman collective. In a last desperate gambit, Nox and Tyler made their decision. They would use the xenomatter within them to open a portal to the progenitor's realm, a higher dimension of pure thought and energy. There they would confront the progenitors directly, pitting their own minds and wills against the vast alien consciousness that sought to consume them all. They said their goodbyes to Dr. Singh and the others, knowing that they might never return. They could feel the xenomatter surging within them, responding to their intent, their very thoughts shaping reality around them. With a final wordless exchange of glances, Nox and Tyler joined hands, their minds merging into a single unified whole. They reached out with their thoughts, tearing at the fabric of space and time, forcing open a shimmering portal of pure energy. Together they stepped through, leaving the world they knew behind. Into the maelstrom of light and sound, they plunged, their physical forms unraveling, their minds expanding to encompass the infinite. They could feel the progenitors all around them, a vast presence that stretched across the eons, a consciousness so alien and incomprehensible that it defied all human understanding. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.